It's really happening. I'm finally talking about Hunter x Hunter again. It's been so long. It's been so long. I'm getting emotional here because this is one of the first big series I reviewed on this channel. And when it ended, it just... I'm so happy right now. I'm so happy I can talk about Hunter x Hunter. I'm so glad I could talk about chapter 350. Express my thoughts on it. I'm glad it even exists. I'm so glad it exists. I just gotta say right now, guys, you probably already are aware now. Probably the video time is a little bit longer. I don't know how long the video is gonna be, but it's fucking Hunter x Hunter, and it's been a long ass time since I have read Hunter x Hunter or talked about new content. It's been a very long time. And so, I know for a fact that probably this video might be a little bit long, it might not, I have no fucking idea. I'm just gonna say right now, the reason why I'm sitting in this chair right now is because I want to give this the Tokyo Ghoul treatment. I'm going through page by page, panel by panel to break it down, and there's a whole shit ton of content throughout this entire chapter. In Hunter x Hunter style fashion, there's no way in fuck, regardless, I could have talked and reviewed this chapter if I didn't have the chapter in front of me. I just gotta be honest here. Hunter x Hunter is that type of series because there's just so much to take in from each individual chapter that there's no way in fuck you're gonna do it without looking at the chapter again and remembering points or writing everything fucking down, because there's just so much shit to remember when it comes to the chapter. So I just gotta say right now, this from now on is the style or the format of how Hunter x Hunter videos are going to be. It's going to be in the chair, Tokyo Ghoul treatment. I'm going to let you know right now, I don't know when this video is going to be up. I'm now recording this early morning Thursday right after, One Piece came out. And I'm just going to say right now that regardless of whatever time this is going to come up, I'm just going to let you know that most likely, depending on the content, since Hunter x Hunter has so much to talk about, it most likely could, these chapter reviews most likely could come out a day late, because there's just so much to talk about. So I just want to let you all know that, make sure I get you all up to speed, and yeah, so I'm just going to say right now, in simple terms, I can break down this chapter in a couple words. Mainly, the main focus of the chapter was Kurapika just trying to integrate some bodyguards with the different princes, kind of, get them in there, but also Kurapika's still trying to hunt down the person that has his clan's eyes. And that's pretty much what majority of this chapter is about. To get just down to the nitty-gritty, that is the biggest summary I could give, or the best summary I can give, the short, quick summary of this chapter of Hunter x Hunter. But there is a lot more I need to discuss, and there's individual character interactions, to things being set up, to how Kurapika is getting to his, conclusion on who is the person that has his clan eyes, and meeting people, all sorts of shit. There's just so much information to take from this chapter that really, it's in that Hunter x Hunter style to where you're like, oh my god, this is why I love Hunter x Hunter. There's just so much fucking info. Okay, so, enough. Let's get into the fucking chapter. I'm not even entered the first page yet. I'm just on the fucking cover page, which is, oh yeah. The cover page. I gotta talk about it. It feels so good seeing a new color spread for Hunter x Hunter. Seeing Kurapika on the front with the jar. Now, I wanna quickly refresh everybody's memory. I wanna pull up chapter 349, because some might have forgotten. It has been... God, it's been about 1.5 years, 2 years now? It's been a fucking long time since chapter 349, and I know some might have forgotten this crucial detail, but there is this pot, and this pot has been an ancient, ceremony tradition throughout the family, and this pot, actually, here, let me get the actual proper name to what this creature summons. Okay, so, pretty much this pot, each individual prince has to put their blood into the pot, and then this little spirit comes out, and it puts like something in their mouth, and then it goes back in. And each individual prince, to be able to participate in this ceremony, to, you know, the last one standing, kind of like Hunger Games in a way, they have to, you know, put their blood in the pot, and then when this happens, they're given a guardian sacred beast. Now, the sacred beast, here's the description from chapter 349. I want to read the description to you. A guardian sacred beast, a divine beast born from the strong prayers for one's offspring's prosperity. It haunts those with a strong affinity for the dead. It feeds on the aura of those that it haunts, and those people have influence on its form and ability. So, depending on how you are, you have influence on its form and its abilities. But since it's not created from the host's own body, it is not bound to the will of the host. So, the guardian sacred beast has its own mind. It can go against the owner's body. So, that means that there could possibly be guardian sacred beast that could turn against its own person it was born in and go help out someone else, or kill the person. It could kill their own person that raised them. So, that's the point I'm getting at. So, the guardian sacred beast, this is something that many need to remember, because the pot plays a big role behind the scenes in the latest chapter. So, let me go back to 350 now. So yeah, the pot on the cover, that is, you know, the pot that gives, you know, guardian sacred beast to the individual princes. Okay, so now that I got that out of the way, let's get to the first page. So the first page of Hunter x Hunter, so much dialogue, and majority of this chapter, oh my god. You know, I want to point this out because, I forgot how much dialogue is in a chapter of Hunter x Hunter. I forgot. Like, I went back and I read the previous chapters, because to get up to speed for the latest chapter coming out, and I forgot how long it takes to read a fucking chapter of Hunter x Hunter. I forgot. Remember, this is coming from a person that watched the entire anime from the first episode all the way to the final episode, Hunter x Hunter 2011, and then I went to the manga and read the latest, 9 chapters after, the anime, and that was my first time actually reading the manga. I read, like, only 9 chapters of the manga, and the content and the dialogue is ridiculous, but I forgot, because it's been a while, and walking into this chapter and seeing all of this dialogue, it's like a fucking book. It's a book. This ain't even a chapter. It's like a book. It's seriously, Togashi, you're the only mangaka I know of, not even Ashita Sensei himself, one of my personal favorite series to review and talk about. Not even fucking Ashita delivers so much info in one chapter, all this dialogue. It's like, damn, you're writing a damn book. Become a novelist. Seriously. Okay, enough. Let me get on the chapter. So, I want to read some of it. I'm going to quote a lot of the dialogue in this. I'm just going to give a pre-warning. I want to quote a lot of the dialogue, because the reason why I'm going to be reading it too is so I can get refreshed as well, because like I've already said, there's just so much content. I want to, read it, see all of you, and then I want to kind of discuss it. So, 6 of the princes are recruiting the best pro hunters they can find for their own bodyguards. So, the different princes that we found out with the last chapter. We got all their names from the last chapter, chapter 349. The application method for pro hunters requires them to input their organization's registration number. You remember the hunter ID that they're given, the hunter license. And in the event 2 requests are made with the same number, they will be instantly disqualified. So what this means is for instance, if a hunter has an identification number, like a different number, it's like, just imagine a credit card number, okay? And if you were to bring this credit card number over here, but then try to use the same credit card with the same number, but a different type of name or background or something, but it's the same number, it would kind of be, fraud. And you're like, what the fuck is going on? There's something wrong with this. Now, it's not the exact same thing with this, but you get my point. The point is, if you put the same exact number with different information, or if you put the same exact information in, but you do it in 2 different locations that you're not supposed to, you're going against the rules, so it instantly disqualify this person. So, what this means is a person cannot be the bodyguard of 6 different fucking people. He can only be a bodyguard of 1 person. Okay. Now, and if they apply while concealing their status, for instance, the status, whatever status they are, or however they live, they cannot conceal that. They'll already be ineligible. This is a mission requiring constant presence in the immediate vicinity of the prince. So you must always be in the vicinity of the prince. Always be around him. There is still a possibility that among one of these 6 princes, one of them is my target. I'm going to butcher this name, so forgive me for butchering this name. Syringe. I just gonna call him Sir, or Sir, Niche is his final fucking 4 letters of name. I want to call him Niche. Okay, so Niche. There is no better way to get closer to the princes than this. So the best way to get closer to them is put in your own individual bodyguard. So Kurapika is setting out to where individuals can become the bodyguard of different princes. For instance, Kurapika is also going to be a bodyguard as well. We get to see some familiar faces with, this panel, the first page and stuff. We get to see Hanzo, we get to see Biscuit, we get to see Melody, we get a bunch of other characters and stuff we've seen. I'm very glad to see these characters coming back and being very prominent in this arc, because I missed them. I've really missed them. I love the Chimera Ant arc, but I missed a lot of the characters that were not in that arc. There were so many fucking good characters from the previous arc, with the Phantom Trope arc, that I missed them. I missed Biscuit, I missed Melody. I really missed Melody and Biscuit, and seeing them back in this makes me personally happy. So very good stuff, very good start to the first chapter, The Return of Hunter x Hunter. Okay, so each of these guards, each of these people, that's Kurapika himself, they are going to be infiltrating each prince, the 6 different princes, and they're going to become their bodyguards. Now, obviously, since there's 6 here and there's 6 different princes doing applications for bodyguards, that means that they're not going to have 2 of their guys on one prince. That means that all 6 of them are going to be by themselves, protecting someone, so they're going to be all split up. Moving on to the next page, we get kind of briefly what everybody thinks about the situation. We get a little bit of, names and reminding everybody, like, the status or the relationship to Kurapika himself. So, let's start with the right one first. The right guy on the side, his name is Izunabe, and he's the master and student relationship, more or less, with Kurapika. So, that gives us some more background information on that. Now, what he says here is making this request just 1 month before the voyage, and on top of that, you want to infiltrate all 6 simultaneously. Sure seems like something must have happened for a countermeasure like this to have been needed. So pretty much, there's something's going on, and he's very curious exactly why Kurapika is doing this. So he's adding, he's suspicious. Now, the next person to talk about is Hanzo, a fan favorite. He's a peer with Kurapika, that's his relationship. And this is what he says. I don't think that target number 4 is in here. No, number 1 and number 4 have the same mother. So in other words, they're all veterans at this Prince game. The Prince game is, pretty much the Hunger Games. Best way to summarize it. They would surely have private forces to draw on that they can trust. So what this means is, as people that have been around for a while, these princes and princesses and stuff, all of them, these, princes have been around for a good long while. They're pretty familiar of how this works. And so they are going to probably have a large backing. They're going to have their own personal bodyguards, their own help. They don't need to go out of their way requesting applications from others. And that's kind of what this means is, for instance, they're veterans at this Prince game. They surely would have private forces to draw on that they can trust. So there's individual princes that haven't, requested applications for pro hunters that already have their own helpers in their pockets. Now, the next one is Basho from the Nostrad family. Now, we already know about them. Hopefully I said their name right. They have connections to, the previous arc before the Chimera Ant arc. This is what he says. I agree trying to buy dependable protection like this. That's the mark of an amateur. Naive and without experience. That would be numbers 5 through 8. So, talking about each individual personality of the princes. Like, how they think and how naive they are without experience to this Prince game. And pretty much pegging them out who most likely is experienced or who's dangerous and who is not. Okay, next person is Melody from the Nostrad family as well. And if you remember, Melody is also from the Phantom Trope arc to get everyone up to speed if you have forgotten. Well then, that would be all the more convenient for us to easily win them over. For instance, what Melody means here is since that they are kind of naive and unexperienced with this Prince game, that means that they can kind of, weed their way in and become their bodyguards and infiltrate it to where they can kind of get more information of what is going on. So there you go on that regard. So that is why it would be easier to win them over. If we can win over their trust, we might even be able to get closer to the higher-up princes. What this means is if you can get in good with one prince, and if they have a connection to the other, like, as we know, a couple princes have the similar mothers. That's exactly how it is. So, there's depending if, these 2 brothers have the same mother, there's a possibility getting, in good with a younger or older brother. You can get in with vice versa, the older or younger brother, and you can meet them and find out more information about them. So, it's best to try to get close to them, earn their trust, and just, become a very good spy. That's the best way to summarize it. Next person, Biscuit, requested by Killa, which stands out amongst every other request we've seen so far. Everybody else is there because they're connected to Kurapika, but Biscuit, as we know, has not really had much connection with Kurapika, and was requested by Killa. So, yeah, interesting stuff to take note of when it comes to this. So, this is what Biscuit says. I don't think so. Battle for Secession are always at their best ugly. So, always this Prince game or any battle of secession to become the next king or prince means that it's going to be ugly. It's going to be a very bloody battle. I wouldn't be surprised if some of them made moves to get some of their threats out of the way. So, what this means is the threats, quote unquote, is other princes. You know, their possibility to not be able to become to the throne, so they need to remove the princes. And because of this, Biscuit's saying it's going to be an ugly battle, and she wouldn't be surprised if people already start to make shady moves behind the scenes before the voyage even begins. Next one. We have it to where Kurapika starts talking. What I want is to get as close as possible to the fourth prince. So what I need is for you to gather any information that would be beneficial in accomplishing that. Apart from that, I'll leave everything else to your own individual discretion. So, Kurapika is pretty much giving everybody the go-ahead to use whatever method you desire when it comes to being the spy for each individual prince. Be whatever bodyguard you want, do whatever method you need to do, but do whatever you need to do to earn their trust. You can have your own individual discretion. So, that's pretty much it. Just as long as if they accomplish their goal and get the information they want. So, yeah. So much content. I'm only on the 6th fucking page. How many minutes am I in? How long have I recorded? Oh, jeez. It's freaking been 16 fucking minutes. Oh, my God. 17 minutes. Okay. As close as possible. Like, how close are we talking here? Ideally, close enough that I can touch them. So, as we know, Kurapika, he's going to be finding out if they have, you know, information about them. He's going to be looking and seeing if they're telling the truth or not. And that's why they need to get close to the individual princes for they can, you know, be almost close to touch them, but Kurapika can find out more about them. That way I'll have more possible options of precision with my abilities. If by chance I could shake with the fourth prince's niche before the eve of our voyage, then you could all cancel on this whole ship thing and I'd be fine by me. So pretty much saying if I get my, you know, chance to shake hands with the fourth prince, niche, and he can, you know, get in good with him or whatever, just meet him and talk to him and stuff, it'll be fine. You guys don't need to carry on with your mission. Don't even have to get on the ship. Okay, so pretty much you can just throw aside the plan. Now, Biscuit interrupts and says, hold on just a second. By cancel, you're talking about this whole bodyguard thing and not your request, right? After all, after we accept the request to be bodyguards, our contract with you will have been complete. So pretty much the main point here is what Biscuit is saying is that their contract with Kurapika at this time is just to accept the request to be bodyguards. Become the bodyguards of the princes. And when that is done, they pretty much already did their obligation. Now, and so when we succeed in that, you'll be compensating us properly, right? So pretty much you will be paying us regardless, even if you cancel, correct, Kurapika? For instance, if you were to cancel and call this off before we even get on the ship, you would still pay us because we technically already finished the job offer you wanted, become the bodyguards of the prince. Now, Kurapika confirms, like, of course, that's fine. Although, if you had a normal level of comprehension... This fucking diss, though, is pretty funny. Although, if you had a normal level of comprehension, I would think you wouldn't have to confirm something like that. So, Kurapika being kind of a little bit of an ass to Biscuit, which is not a good thing. We know how Biscuit is in her personality from, you know, the first part of Hunter x Hunter. So, Biscuit's getting pissed off. Listen here, you. I don't know who you think you are, but I trust you about as far as I can throw you. I don't want to hear that from some hypocrite who puts on airs for everyone she meets. As we know, Biscuit's, you know, how her personality is, and Kurapika how he is. This is kind of like personalities you don't want in the same room together. So this is like a fire that's just got oil casted upon it. Now, we get to see a quick flashback to how Killa, you know, kind of requested Biscuit to be with Kurapika on this mission. Killa calls, as you can see in the background, you see it like on a phone, and this is what he says to Kurapika. Since it's you we're talking about, you would be quotations of Kurapika, since it's you we're talking about here, I'm sure you're going to end up butting heads with Biscuit. So how about I tell you a way to easily smooth things over with her? It's not like I get along with her myself, though. I knew what to do, I just couldn't bring myself to do it. It was just too gross. Seriously, it may make you sick to your stomach, but you should just go ahead and get it over with. Seriously, though, it's gross. And so, pretty much, Killa was just giving, you know, certain information to Kurapika, like, hey, I know what type of personality you have, I know what type of personality Biscuit has, you both are gonna butt heads, you're not very compatible, so the best way to win her over is you're gonna have to say these certain things, which leads into where he pretty much calls Biscuit a perfect little princess, and she gets all happy and smug and shit, and you see her blushing in the background. It's fucking cute and hilarious. I just love this panel so much. We just see her, like, blushing and shit. Regardless of how she looks when she goes into macho mode, Beefcake, it's still funny just seeing Biscuit's personality. I've always loved her character. Okay, so now that that's out of the way, pretty much Kurapika asks, hey, now everybody send your data to each individual prince. You need to get there making sure that they request your application and they want to hire you. So make sure you send in your data. So forgive me for that, my camera just died on me in the middle of talking, so yeah, I want to just start back up on this page. So we have it to where Kurapika starts having his inner monologues, his dialogue inside of his own brain, and it's been so fucking long. It's been so long since I have seen this info dump inside the mind, the psyche of the character. This is why I love Hunter x Hunter, is these internal monologues. Oh my god. Like, what I love so much when I first got into Hunter x Hunter is just seeing how Togashi kind of dives into his character's mind and just lets us know what they're thinking. It's not what you see a lot in shonen nowadays, and seeing how Togashi does this, he goes to the extreme though, because I mean, look, Kurapika has this giant-ass book, paragraphs upon paragraphs of dialogue that he's discussing in his head about the situation of all these names and different people, like legal wives and children and stuff in these lists. So let's kind of break it down, let's read it. There could also be people in there that's some kind of complicated situation or relationship, and of course we'd be in no position of knowing about anything other than what we were told initially. So they could be going in blind without any information at all with any personal relationships these princes have. All 6 of the requests are nearly identical except for slight differences in their conditions and requirements. But no matter how small the difference, it may be a clue that can lead me closer to my target I've got to choose the right one to go with. So each individual request, the 6 different princes that are asking for bodyguards, they pretty much all are almost the exact same, but slight differences in conditions about who they're going to be hiring. But for the most part, it's barely any difference at all. But Kurapika is going to be looking into it to see who he could figure out who is who and which prince is which prince. The person who put the request out the quickest, or perhaps the latest, or perhaps the one who offered the most compensation. So Kurapika's looking at these little details, like who's the first person to put out the quickest request for, you know, a bodyguard? Who is the one that was the latest, like the last one to do it? Who is the one that offered the most money? And, or the person who wasn't involved with competing over bodyguards from the start, like, so who wasn't competing, for instance, who already had their personal army, you know, let's see, or the person with countless conditions for employment, or the person with none at all, like no conditions at all. So there's different type of personalities here at the work, and so Kurapika, he's gonna have to figure out which personality fits with each different prince we saw in chapter 349, since we got introduced, which one of these different things suits every individual one. Those who were completely clear about what they were looking for, or who kept it a complete secret, or one without an interview process at all, so it would just hire you on the spot. Among all these, the person that will let me get to my closest target is most likely one of these 2. So Kurapika's already debunked 4 out of the 6. So there's only 2 people left that he thinks is most likely the person he's looking for to get him closer to his target. What is needed of a prince is the ability to display maturity and confidence. And I saw that in 2 of them. One from the result of the competition put out the highest compensation. The other refused to change his compensation, so he's looking at the differences between these 2. In order to obtain his victory, he put down the highest compensation with no intent at all to ever lose. He's the type that puts his strength on display. Number 2, the one that didn't change his compensation at all has a strong sense of pride, self-esteem, and self-control. What this means is that this person, even if they have the lowest amount of bids, like let's say, let's put it this way, 6 people are bidding on something. Let's say, oh god, you're trying to bid on a book, okay? Like a regular book. And this book, I don't know how rare it is, it's just a regular book, okay? You're bidding on it, and let's say I sit down $5 for the book. Okay, I'm like, here's $5. And then, you know, the other 5, one's like, okay, so I'll go $6, I'll go $10, I'll go $15, so forth. And, you know, the price gets higher as the bidding. And since I put $5 down, I have my own self-esteem, my own pride, and I will refuse to put a higher compensation or higher bid on the book. Because I have pride in what I put in already. So I'm not going to, you know, dishonor myself and put something else down. So I'm just going to be happy with what I chose, and that is it. I have self-control. I will not go higher than $5. And so this is what Kurapika is looking at. He's looking at these individual traits between these individuals, like who would fit this personality. And so he starts thinking more. He's like, the one that matches the most to that in this profile is Prince Harkenberg. Now, hopefully I'm saying his name right. And I believe that one of these two is him. So one of these two people that he's looking for is most likely Harkenberg. At age 15, we're getting actual information on Harkenberg now. At age 15, he skipped grades to attend the world's greatest university. So we already know Harkenberg, he's incredibly intelligent. We already saw from his picture in the last chapter that he was reading books. He seemed like to be a businessman, someone that was on top of the game. He knows a lot of shit. So most likely he's someone you do not want to underestimate if it comes to witty dialogue. At age 15, pretty young, he skipped grades to attend the world's greatest university. So he skipped from fucking middle school to, you know, high school, all the way to the world's greatest university. That is an incredible mind right there. Let's see, meanwhile, there he studied physics and also competed in the World Championships of Archery, winning a gold medal. So this man, on top of having a great mind, he also has great abilities when it comes to his eyesight, because to be an archer, you have to have good arms, but also good eyesight to be able to hit targets. And since he competed in the World Championships of Archery, winning a gold medal, this man is someone scary. He is someone that is very good at long range. So he's a long range fighter. Even among princes, his achievements excel and stand out, but he has a bad relations with his mother and his 2 sisters. He would say that it was just bad luck. And to be perfectly frank, within the palace, he was beyond the king's control as well. So this type of Prince Harkenberg, he is so out of control, and he pretty much couldn't be controlled. He literally couldn't even be controlled by his own father, the king. They simply could not handle him. While still in grade school, they had him admitted to a boarding school, which resulted in rumors such as he was exiled or in hiding from assassins. So he has like some form of parent issues and dark past of being exiled or hiding from assassins. He himself had once posted on Facebook, reference to Facebook obviously, Nitch is the only one of the princes that accepts me. That is what Harkenberg has said. So Nitch is the only one that accepts him for who he is. With such powerful feelings of alienation and angst, he had found only one person that would sympathize with him and understand him. And even when they were apart, he would still keep constant correspondence with that person. It's highly likely that while on a ship together, that they would reunite. So what, you know, Kurapika is trying to say is that this Harkenberg, since he had such a close relationship to Nitch, and, you know, Kurapika is looking for this Nitch, he knows that they most likely will meet up since they're in a prince game. They're going after each other. Most likely they might meet up, make a quick alliance to go after others. That's a possibility. So he thinks if he can get to Harkenberg, he can get to his actual target. So that's what Kurapika's looking at right now. From their profiles, I imagine the other one is either Prince number 6 or 10. So pretty much the other one that, you know, he thinks is the other one that's the most likely target. He says either they're number 6 or 10. These two didn't even have a good reason for why they chose to give the interviews themselves, apart from both like to choose their bodyguards based on their looks, all the while being so arrogant as to keep up with their social networking updates during the process. So these two are very arrogant to where they would even go as far as to update their social media network and all that. They'll keep updates on it, but also they'll just, you know, choose people with their interviews for their bodyguards just based on their looks. Either way, I can't see either of them as having a very strong connection to Nitch, but no matter what it takes, I must deduce which of these is Harkenberg. So he's pretty much deducing, like, okay, so who is this person? Which one should I choose? And he pretty much already has a good idea who most likely is Harkenberg. So, page 11. All the others have sent their notices. All that's left is you and me, who still haven't selected for. I guess I should go with my first instinct. Harkenberg would likely be a very hard person to deal with, both for himself and the people around him, and so he's got to be this one. So Kurapika's already made his decision. Everybody chose their decision who they want to be, and Kurapika chose his. So everybody's pretty much discussing, like, okay, so who is going to, pretty much be the bodyguard of who, and then also it's coming in that they already have meetings with a bunch of the princes, like, for instance, hey, come meet us at 7 p.m. at the hotel, you need to give me a briefing, different things like that. So a bunch of them already having requests sent in that the princes want to meet them and do an interview. So very good stuff right here, already very good positive progression. And this is what Kurapika says. And me too, but my location is different. Although it's still a hotel managed by the Hui Go-Ro family, if you get any kind of clues, get in touch with me right away. If they request to keep control over any information going out, then just as you would have guessed, use Q. Roger. So we have our information going on, and we have a little bit of dialogue underneath all this showing that, different people are extracting calls and an analysis software to extract different information from calls, tapping, stuff like that. So yeah, we get little information on that. So Kurapika, pretty much an actual page with no dialogue, which is kind of surprising for Hunter x Hunter. He's walking to his meeting point, and the person that's waiting at the door, the prince, is waiting. He goes in, and one of the most unexpected people that Kurapika is going to be protecting appears. And this is the prince I remember mentioning in my chapter 349 review. I was talking about how this, prince, this little baby, it's so fucking young to be participating in such a bloodbath. This little baby is going to have a sacred guardian beast, or guardian sacred beast. So this is some creepy shit. So most likely this baby is going to be a powerhouse or going to be killed off rather quickly. One or the other is going to happen when it comes to Hunter x Hunter, but we know how Togashi is, so there most likely could be some unexpected things happening. There might be something that we don't know about this mother, but whatever it is that it's going to probably be something very interesting. So Kurapika, he's been requested, or he thought the person that was Harkenberg was actually this mother and the person that was raising this baby child. So yeah, Prince Wobbly, I think that's how you say his name, Prince Wobbly. If I'm saying it wrong or right, please let me know in the comments below. The 14th prince. So he was completely off. Yeah, completely off. He didn't factor in that the mother could be doing the job application, not the baby itself, since it's not old enough. Kurapika never factored in that the mother would be the one to actually write all of it down. This goes back to the lines of what he said earlier in the chapter. See, he could be unaware of personal relationships or different positions that the princes are in, and the relationship with the prince in this case, is his mother, because at this time, the prince can't really defend himself, or herself, technically. Next part we have is where Kurapika is doing the exchange of, names. For instance, Kurapika is introducing himself, and the mother is introducing herself. And she starts talking like, you seem somewhat disappointed. And then Kurapika's like, no, not in the slightest. Pretty much he's just surprised. He didn't think about the mother at all when it came to who he was choosing as his possible bodyguard situation. So she starts talking, don't worry, after all, that makes me all the more sure you're the kind of person we're seeking. For instance, what she means is that she knew he was looking for someone, but not her. For instance, he's just surprised it was her of all people, and that means that she realizes that him as a bodyguard, he wasn't looking for her to try to kill her or harm her in any way. And now he's like, what do you mean? The kind of person we're seeking, that would be the one who, by looking at our profile, would have come here thinking that I was Prince Harkenberg. So she set it all up to make it look like she was Prince Harkenberg. One that would make their way here for their objective, even with the fewest of clues to go on. The request data had rules in that no prince would be allowed to make any specific or particular request. So you couldn't have your own individual particular request. It can't be specific. The only thing we were allowed to change was the amount of compensation. All other data was collected based on given format. The reason is that if the princes were allowed to give out a specific data, it would be too easy for those who would want to assassinate a prince to infiltrate. So what this means is that, once again, it goes back to the fact of how the bodyguards are being kind of looked through to make sure there's not some secret assassins being slipped in to guard this prince that will kill the prince. Like, let's put it this way. As we know, all the princes are pretty much having the Hunger Games right now. They're trying to kill each other. Last one standing becomes the next king. And obviously, to play a little bit dirty, if you're requesting bodyguards, you could slip in an assassin amongst their bodyguards, and then when the game finally starts, that bodyguard that you think is actually a bodyguard for you slit your fucking throat in your sleep, and that's why. So to kind of stop the identity of the princes getting out, they made it to where you couldn't, request certain requests at all. Like, you couldn't have a specific request, and you could only really change the amount that was given compensation. And so, yeah, that's kind of to safeguard the princes from being annihilated from enemy assassins being slipped in amongst their bodyguards. Now, and also to defend against people congregating around the more popular princes. What this means is, as we know, since there's different princes and princesses, that means that there is probably more popular princes than other princes. So, the more popular ones will obviously get a whole lot more help than the ones that are low tier, probably nobody likes. So you get my point. So there's a possibility that it would be very unfair, unbalanced at that regard, because, a popular prince would get like 100,000 people protecting him, and his unpopular prince might only get like 2 or 3. You get my point. It's completely different. Now, the one who both of those seem to apply to is Prince Harkenberg, and I'm sure that he himself knows that. That is why he didn't put out a request to begin with. So Harkenberg didn't even put out a request at all. So he's not even a part of this. So Kurapika was played all along. He actually miscalculated on this entire situation, so manipulating who this person might be. For instance, you had to where the mother faked that she was Harkenberg. Prince Harkenberg is quite the harsh person to deal with, both for himself and those around him. He wouldn't be able to get above the rules, but if those that knew him found out he was involved in the search for bodyguards, he could simply change his high compensation offer to 0. So, a way to get around it. He wanted to try and change the royal family's government from its roots, so pretty much axe the entire system of his, family's government and completely change it from the root and start something new. And it was that outward attitude that gathered supporters for him. Gradually, he began to obtain power and authority. So, the people that were against the government, or anti-government, people that didn't like the government at all, they were with him because he wanted to change things. And consequently, there were constantly rumors of assassination around. Even among his supporters, people used him changing his image to try and create a dictatorship. So what this means is people were painting their own pretty image of Harkenberg to suit their own needs, their own ideals and goals. Pretty standard stuff that happens all the time in real life situations. The people, his supporters, the investigation team worked to keep away from him, were mostly either assassins or fake supporters. So he had assassins and fake supporters after him. But to us, all of that was convenient, since it allowed for a give and take quad pro quo situation. While those that are after his life and protecting us can preserve and improve that situation. So it's like a give and take type situation. After all, those that seek to control and manipulate him would know his weak points and how to get to him. So if you know him personally, you might know how to get to him. You know his weak points. And then Kurapika is like, what are you talking about? You don't understand at all, do you? What could be wrong with candidates for the secession all coming together normally? The pros will handle their duties professionally, even if they are just in it for the money. For instance, pro heroes. It would be a good chance for those with ulterior motives to get close to the prince. No, that's not the only thing at play here. For instance, certain pro-hunters with their own ulterior motives might try to get, a little bit close to the prince just to be able to have other goals completed in the future after everything is said and done. Getting go with the prince, if this prince becomes the king, obviously you'll have connections. That's what this means. Pro bodyguards may specialize in protecting important people, but they haven't had any training at all in proactively killing people. So guards don't usually just always kill people. They're just usually just guarding. You're talking about in the case of needing to eliminate risk factors. Risk factors would be people that would do the harm to the prince, for instance, other princes. This voyage is meant to be a survival match, Hunger Games. A journey until there is only one prince left. Superior princes, higher up tier princes, more popular princes, princes that are used to the prince game, for instance, people that have their own personal army, they have a certain amount of political power and assets. For instance, they have a lot more pull when it comes to the entire government than anyone else. And we get to see, some of them, the one that does have Kurapika's clan's eyes in the background there. So we know this is going to be rather rough. We also get, 4 different princes that have their own pool when it comes to political power and assets. They will have prepared their own private forces who have been meticulously prepared. Those princes welcome this war for secession with open arms. For instance, they've been ready for a long time, all their life. They're ready for this, and they don't care. They're willing to kill anyone in their way. Now, this is what Kurapika responds with. Wasn't there anyone that opposed or rejected this? You should be doing everything you can about this while they're still listening to what you have to say. Of course, if I could get out of this, I would. So pretty much, she's already a part of this. She cannot leave this prince game. She's stuck in it. She has to be in it. Even for his wife and children, King Hogoro wants him to have the strength and behavior befitting of the royal family. Keep up your noble status and like look. Make sure you always act like a person, a part of the royal family. Raising the king's child, the prince, is the duty of his wife. So it's the wife's duty to raise the king's child. A child that believes, that does not doubt at all that they will be king. So the princes, all these individual children of the king, are raised to believe they will be the king. They do not deny or doubt that they will not be the king. So they always believe they will be the king. They all believe that. That is what it means to be prince. If the chance to become king were to come about, it is only natural for a prince to seize it. So since they were all brought up in a similar way to where they believed they would become king, it's only natural that they would believe that they should succeed and become the next king. And never will you yourself resign from or abandon that opportunity. So for instance, if you're a prince, it's only natural that you would try to become king. Those that are no longer the king's those that do are no longer the king's children, no longer princes. That is what has been taught to us and ingrained into us by the king. So for instance, if you're one that runs away, or if you're one that pretty much doesn't follow the standards of a prince, you're no longer considered a child of the king, you're disowned, and you're not a part of him at all. So there's a possibility there's other children out there that is related to the king and these brothers and sisters that we don't know about. So there's wild cards in the play here. Now, the next part we have is we're talking about, once again, Harkenberg. We who are the weakest of positions, our trump card is Prince Harkenberg. So, the weakest of the princes are looking for Harkenberg. He's like their trump card. If the details of how the next king was selected by the Secession War here were to be made public, it would be even more damaging for him when he becomes king. So, what this means is if Harkenberg, if it becomes public to what had to happen for him to become the next king, the leader, it would damage his overall outlook on society. It's, for instance, it's like a scandal. It's like they're doing some dirty shit behind the scenes, and then if the public finds out how the next king is actually gotten, how the next person succeeds the throne, if that becomes public knowledge, shit's gonna hit the fan. And that would demote the, I guess, position of the next king. So it's best if this does not become public, so he most likely will protect the weaker ones to be able to benefit himself. We got plenty of explosive switches that is witnessing willing to testify to threaten him with. So they already have shit behind the scenes ready to put down Harkenberg if he tries any shit. That was the only card we could play to buy our safety. I won't ask how you came here or what you came here for. So pretty much the mother's saying, I don't care what reason you're here for, why you're here, why you chose Harkenberg, I don't care. And then here's her conditions of what she says. But if you accept our request and help us escape safely off this ship, for instance, don't let us die, because, they're a part of the Prince game, we will pay you 10 times what your compensation was. So behind the scenes, the compensation, if it was like flat 0 or high up there, it doesn't matter. Regardless of whatever the compensation was, since you can negotiate the conditions and terms once you get there for the meeting, she can be very flexible, since, he's already met her. So if he accepts this request to keep them safe, his compensation will be raised 10 times over. So this most likely could happen to other princes as well. Or if you keep everything I've just told you now a secret and go back where you came from, I'll pay you your original designated compensation. What this means is if you keep everything a secret, just keep to yourself. I don't care. Just as long as if you don't say nothing. I don't care why you wanted Harkenberg, why you came here, what was your true goal. I don't care if you're an assassin that was trying to kill Harkenberg. I don't care if you're a person that wanted to be his bodyguard. But if you don't want to be a part of this, you wanted Harkenberg, but if you'll leave and not say nothing, keep it quiet, I'll pay you what I told you I would pay you. So it's a pretty fair deal, the conditions that the mother is offering. After all, I'm not in any position to force you to do anything. So pretty much she's saying, at this moment, I'm powerless. I can't force you to stay here. I can't force you to leave. It's clearly up to you what you do. But she's pretty much asking from the kindness of her heart, please, for the love of God, do not fuck me over. That's pretty much it. And I'm not in a position to force you to do anything either. So pretty much Kurapika's like, I don't have the, right to force you to do anything. But if you will accept my conditions, So Kurapika's doing some negotiations right now. If you accept my conditions, I promise I will protect the two of you with every last ounce of my strength. Now, if you look closely, you see how there's a clock, so clearly time passes. A little bit of a time skip, like, you know, some time passes between their conversation. And the next page says, very well, I'll do it. So, some dialogue happened between Kurapika and the mother, and pretty much stating what Kurapika wanted, his conditions. From what we can assume, because of the way the mother's reaction is, close up on her face, she's sweating, so most likely it was something very disturbing, and we know what Kurapika wants. He wants this, you know, clan's eyes back and stuff he's trying to figure out. Most likely, if she gets Kurapika with the person that has his family's eyes, he will protect her and keep her safe. So, it is a survival deathmatch after all. There are other passengers here on the ship, so it's not like we can go on killing out in the open. So, pretty much, we have to put on airs. For instance, we have to make it look like we're all happy and bubbly together. We can't look like we're trying to kill each other out in the middle of public. So, this means that all the killing going on in this Prince game will not be in the public. For instance, if you have a giant ass fucking crowd in a ballroom, you can't have someone coming in there with freaking guns to start shooting everybody. You just can't do that. You can't have that happen. So that means that all these assassination attempts, or the way that the princes will die, is through stealthy means. It will not be made public. It will not be done in the public. So they have to keep up appearance. Now, pretty much, Kurapika replies like, understood, please don't force any situation that would cause you to worry about that. Pretty much, don't worry, I won't cause any situation where it'll make an uproar and stuff. Anything that'll cause it to where, you know, there'll be a killing in public or not. Don't worry. I know you heard my conditions, and I will understand your conditions as well. Now, after that, we have a brief little flashback to how the mother was raised. She talks about, I was just a foolish girl from an impoverished family. So she was pretty much from a poor family that had no money. But eventually, the king found her, fell in love with her, had pretty much a baby. And she had a life of luxury. She had so much money, she could do whatever she wanted. She could buy a bunch of different items and stuff. Because if you see on the panel, you see a bunch of different clothing, items, jewelry, all sorts of shit. She had all this, but eventually she had a baby. And then she realized what was precious to her. And she's like, would you like to hold my little girl? And Kurapika holds her, looks at her, and you just see his face. No emotion, really. And then we get introduction to each individual bodyguard of whoever's going to be with who. So, this page we find out that Izunabe, my bad, will be the bodyguard to the 6th prince. Biscuit will be the bodyguard to the 13th prince. Basho will be the bodyguard to the 7th prince. Melody will be the bodyguard to the 10th prince. Hanzo bodyguard to the 12th prince. And then we get the close-up on the Guardian Sacred Beast jar. That starts all of this. So, whew, that's about it. So, damn, this chapter. Oh my god, hopefully I broke everything down. Oh my god. Oh, damn. Chapter 350. Just fucking broke me, damn. Okay, so, now I can talk about some things. Since I'm here now, I finished the breakdown of the panels and shit, so let me talk about my overall thoughts of what is going on here. So, pretty much, right now, shit's about to get real. A lot of princes are probably going to die. A lot of these characters are going to die, and a lot of them are probably going to have some very quirky and interesting personalities about them. I mean, I'm really looking forward to, out of all these princes, let me look at all of them, actually. Obviously, I'm looking forward to the baby here. Wobble or Wobbly or whatever his name is. I'm looking forward to, you know, the little girl here. Even though they're called Prince, still. I'm looking forward to her. But, besides the others that we know is going to be very, very high up there in class, for instance, Political Pool, that we already saw in this chapter earlier on, the ones I'm interested in that could be possibly the underdogs, I'm looking forward to the girl that is with Hanzo, actually. She seems like someone that's going to be the underdog and someone crazy in the future. I can already see it. When it comes to the boy that Biscuit's going to be teaching, I have a good feeling something bad is going to happen there. Their relationship or something. Biscuit's probably not going to like that boy. I believe something like that's going to happen. Let's see. Basho being with the 7th prince. I got a bad feeling that dude is someone that is very dangerous. He gives me the impression of a dangerous dude. But I feel like, though, when it comes to Melody, Melody probably has someone that has a very nice heart. That's what it looks like to me. I believe that the 10th prince, Kacho, is a very nice-hearted prince. I'm assuming that. I could be wrong, but that's what my impression is overall. So, yeah. That's about it. I will say it's been fun talking about Chapter 350. It's been a mouthful. I'm going to get me a glass of water. My mouth is dry. My throat is dry. And, yeah. Y'all have a wonderful day or nights wherever you live. Please be safe. Chibi out.